I'm recording to the cloud, and we are going to go ahead and live stream on this one because it is an actual council meeting. And I'm just asleep at the wheel today. Well, I guess maybe it was because everybody literally came in at 7 o'clock. That always helps. All right. Tell me when your guys' phone beeps. Mine should beep.
Good.
I don't know what I just did. Now I'm setting up something else. What are we doing? All right, let's put that behind. All right, it says we're streaming.
Yeah, I see live on Facebook on the iPad.
I know. Okay, there we go. Mine hasn't popped up on my phone, so I'm not sure why. Now I'm going back to. Did anybody actually check it on Facebook? I don't know why I didn't get an update.
Yep, it's there.
Okay, good. All right, so let me find. I was all ready and prepared, and then you know me. I just kind of went backwards. For the agenda, Friday. That would have been Friday. A lot of emails from Friday. There we go. All right, so it is October 19th. Let's start with roll call. I know everybody's here, but let's do it on here. Councilman Bruger. You're muted.
Here.
Councilman Benedetti.
Here.
Councilman Wolf.
Here.
Council President Shrimp.
Here.
Councilman Curl.
Here.
And Councilman McNamara.
Present.
All right, let's go on to meeting minutes, October 12th of 2020. Has everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Extensions? All right, we're good to go on that. And let's move straight to legislation. There's a couple for third reading. I just want to point something out really quick. The one accepting the village of, or the MI home section is not on this list of legislation. We opted to not put that on there. We're aware it's not on there for the second reading because we wanted to make sure that we followed the actual dates that was on that from the last time. MI is not ready for us to accept it. So it's not a mistake. It is coming, but it'll be on next week's agenda. So that was it.
All right, then I guess I am up. Resolution 2020-34, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into a contract to install concrete stairs and walkway and declaring it an emergency. I don't, oh, there you go. Bill Lewis, cement contractor, is the person. Costs not to exceed $6,500. And this gives authorization for the walkway and the steps. Is that correct?
That's the way it is worded. Now you guys discuss it and figure out what you want to do. We kind of did the what does everybody want, and there was no clear winner as to what everybody wanted. We had a couple people that wanted just the walkway, some that wanted the stairs in the walkway, some that wanted nothing. So basically the way I'm going to start doing everything is going to be a little different. I'm going to present it to you guys. You guys can make the decisions as to what you want to do. You can modify it if I don't have a clear, straight way of doing it. So it's in your guys' boat. That's what we want. And if we don't get it, that's fine. You guys can approve exactly what you guys want.
I suggest that we approve, take out the name, you know, the contractor's name, and just approve $6,500, and then we can sort out how we go about doing it.
Well, so that would, I believe.
I can't sign anything. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sign anything without
for
a
the
name.
mayor. Yeah, for the mayor to enter into a contract, it needs to be named.
That is a specific person.
Yeah.
And after, and just, I think I sent you guys the other estimate that I got. If not, it was $13,000. We've talked to another person that really never, I don't think they ever came back out to give us a real estimate, but they kind of gave us some roundabouts, which was a similar price to this one. I'm not here to sell you guys on it. You guys heard the chief's comments last week. You guys asked some questions. At this point, it's in your guys' court. So you guys can amend the amount. You guys can keep the amount the same. You guys, obviously, if you don't amend the amount, but you guys make it clear that you only want X done, then I'm only going to do X. So obviously, you know how I
Well,
work.
you know, the last time we talked about this, there was two people that wanted to do the steps in the walkway. You know, there was Joe wanted to just move forward. Diane didn't want to proceed with anything, and I'm not exactly sure where David was at on
And that's
this.
why I
but
did.
I would say that the chief, you know, the thing that I took away from the chief's description of what needed to be done, the minimum, was the steps, is what I heard the chief say.
He
And that's
also
what I'd like
reiterated
to
the
see
fact
us
that
do.
the only thing that I'm going to say is he reiterated the fact that we've had 3 officers fall down those steps. And I
I
can
was
list off
just
their
gonna
names.
say
now.
that. We've had
Well, I
3
think
slip
it was-
and falls.
I
And
think
I'm
he was
not
saying
going to
that,
say, I won't say that people can't slip and fall on anything, but in this particular instance, we did have.
The reason they
So-
slip and fall is because of those darn rubber treads that are on there.
No,
that should have
Tony-
never
Tony,
been put.
No, that's
his,
not what they
his
said.
actual
Then what's
larger,
wrong? It's a set of steps that has a right. Those risers are he bought those things pre-made. So I'm trying to understand what you know. Is it the great? What's so dangerous about the steps? That's the thing that I just.
well,
can't
and actually, Tony,
understand.
if I recall correctly, Chief Delph mentioned that the larger concern, and I believe where the slips happened, were on the path because the gravel, when it gets icy, you can't shovel it and the path gets really slippery. And of course, there's no railing there on the path like there is on the steps.
Well, what I'm suggesting we do is pave the path and remove the rubber treads from the steps and put down. There's slip resistant or tape that you put on steps. That's what it's made for. That's why those rubber tread things are on there, is to keep people from slipping on the steps.
Well, there's
Yes.
another alternative. They make precast steps in concrete. They're a lot less money, but I don't know what other people think of 6,500. We could, you know, I guess we can live with that, but it seems high to me. Unless that includes the platform down by the front door where the police go in the door. There's a drain in that pad.
David, I don't believe you had a chance to weigh in on this as much last week because you were having the connection issues in the car. Would you like to weigh in, please?
Well, I mean, the way I see it, I mean, first off, if we're going to be, you know, possibly having major renovations or a rebuild, it's probably not worth putting in these massive amounts of infrastructure. However, we're not the ones who use the stairs. I've seen the stairs. They do look a little bit on the suboptimal side. And I could assume that the path being gravel would be icy in the winter, though this is my first, this will be my first, you know, winter as a member of village government to be coming and going potentially from the building to see it. Those things being said, I would be in favor of giving our police what they want. This is, you know, it's not like they're asking for, you know, a brand new substation to be built. I mean, none of us would want to have to, you know, traverse an ice path and then fall down the stairs. So I mean, I would say there's probably a happy medium that we can find where we could, you know, maybe throw a layer of asphalt on the gravel or, you know, something like that, and maybe fix the stairs. I mean, again, $6,500. I'm not 100% sure. I am admittedly not well versed in the prices of concrete, or the, you know, laying and shaping thereof. But I think we should do something for them reasonably. So I guess if the vote were right now to fix for the price, I'd be in favor of it. I mean,
Yeah,
none of us.
The
that
vote
make
is right
sense?
now. This is the third
Yeah,
reading.
this
This is
is it.
our us voting to do it or
And this
saying,
is the
nope, we're not
third
gonna
reading,
do it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a third reading. We've been, to keep on saying that maybe something else could be dreamed up or re-engineered or a different plan made. We've had this discussion for at least 2 months, and for all of the other potentials, I don't know that any other plan has genuinely come forward. Right?
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
time-
the impression I got as well. So I'd be in favor of this.
I think it's time to make the motion and take the votes and let it fall where it may.
All right, I was about to say the same thing, so I'm going to move that we pass resolution 2020-34 as written and declare it an emergency.
Second.
Let's call that
All right.
roll and see how it turns out.
Did anybody second it?
I do.
Brian
Yes,
did.
Councilman Wolf did.
All right. Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara.
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
No.
Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
and Council President Trump.
No.
All right, so we have 4.
Yep.
And we didn't waive readings, so I believe as an emergency, it's fine. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
It is, okay. So we can only waive readings with that.
Correct, but we don't have to waive readings.
We didn't waive
We
readings.
don't
that's
have
what
to
I'm
waive
saying.
readings.
So just
but
the
it's not
emergency doesn't pass, so we just have to wait 30 days.
No. It passes, if there's emergency language in it, it passes as an emergency. You do not need a supermajority.
Yeah, because it's only
Yes,
An
you
4.
emergency.
do. You need.
I thought to waive readings, we needed 5.
To
but
waive
emergency-
readings, you need
Waive
5.
readings.
That's right. You're right.
If the emergency language is in the ordinance, it passes as an emergency with a simple majority.
That's, you're right.
I am right. I thought I was right. I wasn't sure. All right,
All
so
right.
let's move on.
All right, here we go. Excuse me, I probably shouldn't have just grabbed a soda before doing this. All right, resolution 2020-35. Resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a contract with Resource Patterson Pool. Oh, okay, this is going to be a big one. Patterson Pools for the installation of a baby pool and declaring it an emergency. This, however, is just the second reading. We're declaring an emergency, I imagine, so we can, Mayor, go ahead and tell us why we're doing it, so I don't have to speculate.
Oh, okay. That's actually not why. There is actually a typo in this. It's already been fixed, but I wasn't going to resend out the packet and do all of that. It's already been adjusted. This was, and it was my fault. I didn't take out resource, just, it's supposed to say Patterson Pool, not Resource Patterson Pool. So just for the record, it's already been fixed. It will be accurate on the next one. The reason for the emergency, and I'll repeat this again next week, the reason for the emergency is so they can start for permitting. They can start in the event that they're able to get the old pool torn out, do any of that kind of stuff this year. They would like to be able to do anything as soon as possible, weather permitting in October, November. In the event it doesn't pass in as an emergency, it is fine. But we do, this is going to sound horrible. Permitting takes several months. We do run the risk of it opening on time. It's a risk. It is, if you guys don't do it, it's only 30 days. It can't be that, whatever. So, but the purpose is to get permitting going. And then we might as well talk a little bit about this, and then we can beat it with a dead horse on the next meeting. You are correct, Mark, by saying that those are permanent structures. Sorry. Those are permanent structures. They are 12 foot I'm going to go 12 by 12. I don't really know exactly how far they are. The umbrellas. They said, they said that we could do one, which is half the price, which is $8,000. We don't have to do both of them. It does cover part of the pool and the concrete, like the decking. I'm, again, not a huge fan because I'm a sun person, but I guess a baby pool, a lot of people want their kids out of the sun. So I can definitely see the benefit of why people would want them. I think $8,000 is steep. Go ahead.
Young skin is the most susceptible to long-term damage from ultraviolet radiation.
Right.
So
Well, I'm not one of those. Can you tell? But no, I completely agree. The whole purpose to it is, you know, there are definitely benefits to it. I think it's an extremely steep amount of money when we have the potential of needing repairs. Diane had asked a question earlier in an email. We aren't going to know how much the repairs are going to be until next year for the pool. We were estimated $10,000 to $15,000 before Tony did his minor fix. There's a chance that minor fix could hold up. There's also a chance that that minor fix is going to cost us $10,000 to $20,000. That was the estimate that we were given this year. We don't know what the winter is going to do to us. So at this point, we know that there is the potential of needing $10,000 to $20,000 to fix the bottom of the floor. I will also tell you that after talking to a couple different people, nobody really believes that that pool floor is going to last more, even with that repair, that the bottom of that floor is going to last much more than about 5 more years. So a lot of people have told us that there is a good chance at the Village of Minerva Park. And Tony, I know you know how old this pool is. You can only do so much to it. Now, it could last 10, it could last 15, I don't know. But we have been told that there's a good chance you're going to need a much larger repair on this pool come in the next 5 years. So I know that we don't really think about that right now, but spending $16,000 on umbrellas is $16,000 towards the bigger. I mean, I'm all in support of making this the best that we can, but it's going to be really crappy to have a nice baby pool with no big pool because we can't afford to fix it. So we just need to be cautious of the amount of money that we spend out of pocket without knowing the full amount of what we need. Now, that said, I don't hold the purse. You guys do. I think the soft bottom, that is common in a lot of the baby pools now. I know it wasn't common 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but that is extremely common in those because kids slip, they fall in baby pools. That's the whole purpose of it. It's like that rubber bottom. It comes in multiple different colors. Patterson usually uses this aqua color anyways. I've already seen it. I have, I'm a huge fan of that only because it is a safety factor, but would I be disappointed if you guys didn't do it? No. Is it required? No. But of the two, if we were going to spend the money after listening to everything, I think that would be great. I'm sure some people would prefer an umbrella to keep kids out of the sun. Again, it's up to you, but they did go over. The umbrellas will withhold, or they'll stand through up to 90-mile-an-hour winds. So they are commercial grade, clearly for $8,000 each. They are commercial grade umbrellas.
Are these round? Are these round, rigid, like aluminum type of umbrellas?
Yeah, they're
or is it a long arbor shade over the baby pool?
It's on like an arm that hangs over part of the baby pool. So it's like a bent, it's 12 foot by, I would assume maybe 12 by 12. They're big. I mean, if you look at the diagram, if you look at the picture that I sent, you can see how it goes half over the baby pool and half over the deck. You can see how large they are. I mean, it's almost 50% of the pool and the decking, if you look at it that way.
Well, I missed the picture somehow.
It's in the email.
Down. Yeah, it was in the email. I don't know if you had to open it or just move down. It depends on how you opened it. But I kind of circled them just to give you an idea of exactly what I was talking about. But they're amazing if you want to spend the money for them. I mean, it's one of those things that it's nothing to shake a stick at, though. I mean, it's a lot.
Was it rigid or is it fabric?
It's a fabric. It appeared to be fabric. I mean, everything I saw in the pictures, it looked fabric. So that's that. It is only second reading, so nobody needs to make a decision. The only reason that I wanted to point it out is obviously I have a dollar amount. The dollar amount that I put in there was for the flooring, not the umbrellas, because once again, I just put numbers in there so you guys could see it. I wanted to point out that I don't know how much the repairs are going to be, and there's no way for me to find out how much the repairs are going to be until we undo the pool next year, clean it out, clear it out. Rick West is planning on fixing the valve in the bottom, so I know that that's going to be an expense. Again, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but he said that he wasn't really going to do it until we emptied out the pool next year. So
Have we thought about, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. What's up?
Have we thought about asking, the people? I mean, everybody can agree that the baby pool needs repaired and fixed, but, for those of us who don't have children or small children, perhaps we should take, a straw poll on like one of our social medias or whatever on, what the parents of Minerva Park would prefer. I mean,
I
it's,
think it's-
it's their tax income, or it's their tax dollars.
It's their tax dollars, except for no, they don't understand the big picture either. So, I mean, it's kind of like asking everybody, do you guys want a Ferrari or do you guys want a Volvo? If we can afford it, we should just buy the Ferrari. But of course we can afford it. It's just, what are we not going to do in comparison to that? So it's kind of, and I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm just saying,
I see
it's all
where
of our
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. I mean, it's all of our jobs to be financially responsible within reason. There's certain things that need to be done and there's certain things that don't. And it's a great feature on this pool. So I'm not here to advocate for it
Absolutely.
or not. I'm here to give you guys the information because I don't know what you guys want to do. There's 6 of you that gets to decide. And I think if you ask 10 people, they're going to want them. And if you ask, the problem that you have asking Facebook is, some people don't want the pool there, or maybe I shouldn't say it that way.
No, you shouldn't say it that way because some people can care about the whole community, even
Right.
if they don't care personally about the pool. It is possible.
No, exactly. I think that there's a lot of people that wouldn't like to see $16,000 spent. I think that's a fair way to say it. There's a lot of people that have never gone to the pool that live in this village that would definitely not like to see $16,000 spent on an umbrella.
If you said that first of all, I'm all for one, but not two. But I think if you talk about protecting babies, you'll have a lot of people who are interested in doing that. So that would look at more positively. But I'm just wondering,
As far as I mean,
what is the normal budget for what's the normal budget for pool maintenance? That, what do we, are we budget? We have to budget something. Obviously, you're not going to go into the next year. I know you don't know how much it's going to be, but you're not going to put 0 in the budget for pool maintenance, right?
I don't know what they've put in there in the past. That's what we're currently working on right now. I would assume 10 grand. I know we would have had the money in there available to do that repair last year, which was around $10,000. So it would make sense to me to have around 10. What's that?
I have
Go
a
ahead,
question, if I may. I'm
Huh?
sorry I missed the photograph of this umbrella, but how does that mount?
It's in the concrete.
Concrete.
It's underneath the ground. There's a footing.
Couldn't it be an option to put the mounting for that in there without purchasing the umbrella so that it could be added at a later time if that came up?
I think they're building it. I mean, and we keep saying umbrella, and I don't think that's quite the right word to use because that makes you think of the little 6-foot umbrella you buy for $80 at Aldi. This is, a large anchor post that comes out of the ground and then it has the awning or whatever attached to it. This is a big, meant to be there for quite some time piece.
Correct.
Yeah, it's an investment for sure. It's not like it's going to, blow down in a windstorm.
Well,
But no, I totally do get what you're saying, talking about, protect the babies. That'd probably kind of skew one way.
No,
Well,
because
if
you have the
you've
availability.
actually, I've stood at the baby pool when we were looking at it, how bad it was, and then deciding not to open. And I just remember it being a nice sunny day, and I'm looking around, and I was concerned at the time about the lack of shade, even for the adults who might want to get out of the sun. It's very hard to do in that pool area.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make is you have the availability to use sunscreen. You have the availability to have t-shirts and long sleeve shirts on a child. So when it starts coming to things like that, again, we can't protect everybody against everything.
That's true.
That's what I mean by that. So I don't mean that it's not important. I mean that there's other features that parents can use and do use. I see plenty of kids in long sleeve swim shirts. I have kids in my own family that use long sleeve swim shirts constantly. So you guys obviously took it a completely different way than, it was anticipated, but you can't help a kid not slip and fall, but you can help put sunscreen on and wear a long sleeve. So that is my point behind that. So for anybody
I hope my argument didn't come off as aggressive. I'm just, it's young skin gets the damage it causes melanoma or later in life much more easily. That's all I got on that.
I'd like to reiterate an option to put the mounting that goes into the poured concrete it's probably tied in with an umbrella like that, maybe welded into the rebar under there. But usually there's an insert where the pole would go down into a much larger pole. It would be an option to put that in without purchasing the umbrella. You could
Right.
add it later then, is what I'm saying.
I think you could retrofit it if we decide to do it in the future. Wouldn't be that much more than doing it originally.
Right, I would assume you could drill, I mean, the only difference is this, it's done, it's secure, it's whatever, but yeah, I mean, I would assume you could drill down a hole and
You could cut open a hole and do it.
I don't think it's your only
quick
option. ever.
question, the 105 mentioned in resolution 2020-35, is that 105 before or after any of these two? Are these two upgrades included in that at all?
The one upgrade of the non-slip bottom of the $11,000, and that is what the village would owe. That is already anticipating the $75,000, what's left of it. So we would still be writing a check, and that's what I want to make sure. We would still be writing a check for $105,000, and that is with the rubber bottom. That is
Okay.
not with the umbrellas, not one.
Okay, so 105, as this is currently written, it's written with the
And it's worded in there
understanding,
like that.
expectation that we would, that we were going to approve the no slip floor or the soft floor. And then if we want to, we can amend it up by, you said $16,000 for the umbrellas
Or
down
8 for 1.
or 8 for 1.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
I think
You are
8 for
correct.
1 would be a fair compromise from what I'm hearing.
I'm not in favor of any of them.
Well,
I would-
and I
I
still,
think
Couldn't we use the money to dredge North Lake?
I hate to say this, I'm in agreement with Tony. I'm not in favor of either one of the umbrellas. I think 8,000 or 16,000 is a lot, I think that we could purchase some, basic umbrellas for kids to be able to sit under, families be able to sit under. People can bring their own in the grassy area. I'm in total agree. I don't vote, but I just feel like there's a lot more that the village could, a lot larger projects that the village should be thinking about for $16,000 towards it. But that's
Well, I think we could come up with shading
plant a couple trees.
solution cheaper than 16,000.
I fully agree with that.
And the baby pool has existed for many, many years without giant
Right.
sunshades.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Well,
for as nice as it is and whatever, I think it can live without them.
Before I move on, since this is just a second reading and I want to move on, since it is currently written with the $11,000 for the non-slip safety floor for the baby pool, is there anyone who wants to make an argument that they want to pull that out of this?
Absolutely. Yeah, please do now, because I just put it in there to give you guys a figure and a number and whatever, but I'm not, I will do whatever you guys want.
yeah, I'm undecided on that one.
I'm in favor of it. We still should not give up on looking for, large movable umbrellas, though. I did like that idea. Yeah, but maybe not $8,000 or
If you have
$16,000 worth.
umbrellas,
You can build an awfully nice shade arbor around something for less money than that.
right.
Tony, I think we know what you want. Brian is not. Mark, do you have a thought one way or the other? Actually, Brian, I didn't hear what you had to say about the other flooring.
Oh,
So
the floor? Floor's fine. I think that's a good idea.
I'm good on the floor too. Joe was unsure. Tony was against the flooring, I believe, Tony.
No, not the flooring.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I'm
in
sorry.
favor of the flooring.
Okay.
I think there's enough for flooring to move forward with that.
Yeah, I think we
Diane,
can
do you have
say
a
that's a
thought?
good second reading and that we can keep it with the $11,000 for the enhanced soft baby flooring stuff for the little babies.
This soft flooring, essentially, if somebody slips and falls in the pool, the impact is softened, or is this something that?
right, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Well, I'm in favor of that for certain.
Yeah, it's
I used to drive an ambulance. I've gone to places where you wouldn't believe what happens to people.
yeah, it's like a rubber bottom, so it will help with slipping as well as soften the impact.
It's like putting those rubber playground mats down on the bottom of the pool.
Yep.
So when
Nice.
same reasons that you put them on playgrounds.
And if anybody's been to or, has any interest, I don't think you can get in there now to see it, but the Westerville Highlands pool has it in their baby area. That's the first place I think I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If money was no object, I'd definitely push harder for the umbrellas, but
I agree.
we can revisit that down the road. I mean, there's got to be more ways than one to shade a pool.
That's what we can talk about in our community committee meeting when we get ready to open the pool up.
Sounds like a
Awesome.
plan then.
So
There we go.
move on to resolution 2020-36, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into various reoccurring contracts necessary for the continuous operation of the village. This is just a first reading. Nothing fancy there. It looks like we have lots of different
It's all the
ones.
staff.
Franklin County Health Department. We got all kinds of things. Mayor, I think I will just let you speak to it.
This is the copy that we used from last year. We added a couple, took a couple off, I think. Standard, if we don't start reading it now, we're going to run out of time for it. So that's why we started reading it. So if anybody has any problems, questions, concerns, once anybody remembers, and I'm just going to say it, if anybody remembers somebody we're missing, please let me know.
Is the engineer included on this? I haven't seen it yet.
It wasn't here, just so you know, it wasn't on the last one, which I thought was really weird. So I don't know if it's on something. I don't know, but that's a great question. So
Everything isn't a single year contract.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that's great. I will find out.
Well, it does. Top line is CH2M Hill
Oh, that is
Jacobs
that.
Engineering.
Yeah, that's the engineering firm. It's just that that's their old name. They changed.
Jacobs, yeah.
What I'll do is adjust it to do like /Jacobs, because some of their stuff still does say that.
It says /Jacobs on here.
Yep, it says
Okay.
/Jacobs Engineering, Village Engineer.
Okay. So again, if you guys come up with other ones that I'm missing, please let me know. It's just a first reading standard thing that we do, and we just happen to remember that we have to do it. So we just wanted to get the reading started.
Okay, so there you go. Resolution 2020-37, a resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a contract with the City of Columbus for fire and EMS services and declaring as an emergency. And it looks like as I scroll down, our second reading, we are hoping to waive so we can have a third reading on the 26th and pass it. I see your hand. Go ahead.
If anybody would like to add a third meeting, I am all on board. I did it like that just so we could get the first reading. I don't know that anybody has an appetite to waive any of the readings because of the nature of what it is. I don't know if anybody has any issues to.
Well, why are we waiving it if we're having the third reading on the 26th?
No, that's the second reading on the 26th. This
I
is
may
a
have
first
done it wrong.
reading. And so the second reading is for the 26th, and we wanted to be in contract for the 1st of November.
Okay.
To me, this
don't have
meets
enough.
all the requirements for waiving readings and passing as an emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cannot let our coverage lapse for EMS.
Right. So the other
We don't have
other
anything,
option-
there's nothing lapsing.
Yeah.
People, don't make me wag my finger at you. Real quick, before we discuss the readings, let me finish with what it is here. We will be entering into a contract with the City of Columbus for them to provide us with fire and EMS services. The cost of the contract is $185,000 a year with a potential, I believe as the contract said, capped increase of 2.5% per year. That will require further approval of council. For those of you out there not paying attention, the City of Columbus no longer considers us to be mutual aid partners and are now requiring us to pay for the services that they have traditionally provided, such as fire and augmented, or not augmented, but EMS services when our EMS was not active, since it was just a part-time unit. So if anyone was curious why, that's why. This is more expensive than when we were running our own and using mutual aid. However, this is considerably less than what Columbus's opening offer was. And they did say that the mutual aid was gone and we would not be getting fire if we don't sign a contract. So unless anyone has anything else to add, that was for the viewers out there. That's what's going on with this. Now we can talk about readings.
I got a question for the mayor. We talked about the maintenance and whether Columbus was going to do that. Have you heard back as to whether that's something that we were capable of doing ourselves? Because I'm assuming that that $10,000 jump was for the maintenance.
Correct.
Correct. So I'm going to get a little bit of a further clarification on Wednesday when I talk to Jesse. That is correct. It was for they referred to it as inspections of the 122 hydrants. So I want to verify exactly what does inspections entail and how far is that going to go. So clearly they're not going to pay for any repairs because that is going to be on the village, but exactly what,
But does that get us the pumped and flushed?
that's
every
my
year?
understanding. Yes. I mean, that is my understanding. I want to clarify that for everybody to be able to say, but the email that I sent, that was exactly it. And of course, then I have the question of, Chief said he was going to be doing it this year. And I do know that Columbus was trying to get in touch with him to find out exactly what was going on as we speak. Just within the last 2 or 3 days, I sent them his information.
I'm
So-
curious, the name on the contract, is it the City of Columbus or is it the Columbus Fire Department?
So again, that's going to be one of the other things that we're clarifying because on the paperwork that I have, it just says the City of Columbus. It doesn't really go any further. So I'm verifying exactly what we need to have on our legislation. So again, we'll know exactly, like I sent it to everybody for their approval and everybody basically said, not you guys, but said that it was okay, but we're going to verify exactly whether or not that needs to be adjusted or not. If it's actually just City of Columbus Fire and EMS, City of Columbus Fire, we will verify before the final reading.
Well, isn't there?
I think it's City of Columbus
isn't
Division
there-
of Fire.
It might be, exactly.
Isn't there a signature line on the contract that we got? Wasn't there a signature line at the bottom?
With the chief. It's just the chief, it's my signature, the chief's signature, and the,
That is Director of Public
Director.
Safety.
Oh, I see.
And I should mention, because I was given a
In their
synopsis of it,
contract.
I forgot, this is a 3-year contract.
It's weird.
Now, does the Columbus City Council get involved in these decisions?
No.
Columbus-
No.
that's a great question because that was actually told to me that they would.
Oh, yeah?
So they might have had to approve the reduction in price.
There was no reduction. There was a negotiation,
Well, right, but it was reduced.
which resulted in this is the final price. I wouldn't say.
So
It was
yeah,
a-
we will have.
It was a
we will
fire
be-
sale. It was a fire sale. That's what it was.
So to speak.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so moving on to ordinance 15/2020. An ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the year of 2020. I believe this is the appropriation. We're going to increase it $6,000 to pay our current EMS workers for their last 2 weeks of working before we mothball a department. It looks like this is fine doing a second reading, and we can have our third reading and normal passage on the 26th.
Yes. Correct.
Moving on. Ordinance 16/2020 to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the year 2020. There's a fair amount of stuff on this. This is a second reading. I will let the mayor say what she wants to say, or anyone ask questions about it as they would like, as though I could stop people. I don't know why I said let. I will now give this time for et cetera, et cetera.
This is what I believe has to do with the TIF payments, if I'm not mistaken. That's what we had talked about the last time.
Yep,
But
I think that's what it is.
I do actually expect these to change. I expect a couple of these to change and be added because as you guys are fully aware, we don't have the money sitting somewhere to pay the fire EMS. So I'm assuming that you're going to see some adjustments on those as well. So, but we are trying to get the final numbers and everything, making sure that nothing from that legislation is going to change, meaning with the inspections and all that kind of stuff, we anticipate it being the 185, but in the event that there is something a little different or weird over the next couple days, we wanted to not have all of that on there. But I do expect ordinance 16-2020 to change. The only reason that we did 15 and 16 on 2 different ordinances is just because we knew that there may have potentially been a couple people that didn't want to approve additional weeks. So we were worried about one failing and one not. So, I mean, I'm just being blunt and telling you why. So basically that's the whole point to it. I do expect ordinance 16-2020 to have some additions to it by next week.
If this fire department thing went through the city council, it would be nice to get a copy of the minutes of when they discussed it. I'd like to read it.
I can find out for sure from Jesse, and I don't remember who told me that, but it had somebody told me that, and it could have even been Jean. So yeah, I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that, but I do remember somebody telling me something about it having to do with council, and maybe it doesn't go through them until after we've approved that we're doing it. I don't know. No idea. But as you can see, that some of the information that they sent me looks just like an ordinance for them as well.
So, yep,
I don't know if
and
you have seen that.
2020, that's TIF, that's taking that property tax money from the new area in Minerva Park and transferring it to MI to pay off for all the infrastructure they built.
Correct.
Money that doesn't
I think
necessarily
it's
even
taken out of the
off
TIF,
where
out of the TIF fund. It's taken out of the TIF fund and putting it into the general fund. I think it's the correct way to describe that.
Yes. But I think mostly that's because we collect it for them and then hand it over to them.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a nice setup.
Yeah. So it's not coming out. I mean, it is money that would be coming in, but only because we have the new builds and, you know, we're not, et cetera, et cetera. We're moving the money along until we get our 0% interest loan paid off. And I believe that is legislation unless I'm missing something.
Nope. All right, new
I'm
business.
done.
Well, there was mention in the last meeting about something about repairs or some kind of review of some element of the dirt dam. Wasn't that something Gene was
I
talking
think we're
about?
still working on that, I brought it up at the last planning and zoning meeting, is that we needed to figure out what MI's plans were about the erosion at the dam. And, Eric had said that he was, working with them on that.
Is that the erosion over one of the hiking trails?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe they had a crew out there and fixed it and laid, looks like they laid some kind of stone washway next to the path where that was going on so that it wouldn't wash over the path anymore, is what it looked like to me.
Well,
You obviously know more about this kind of stuff than I do. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Well, I saw something on Facebook where there was a backhoe or something out there. I know they did something, but whether that something is going to fix the problem, that's where in this particular case, I almost think we ought to have our engineer take a look at that, or somebody, because to me, it's the problem is the rocks that they have put in the spillway are diverting the water over towards that side and eroding away that whole hill. So putting some kind of
That's something that
screening.
I would agree with Tony as well with. I've come to the same amateurish conclusion. Well, I'm amateur in my conclusion, not his.
Well, I'm
seeing the same.
Either.
And I'm not sure that, I think the one that they worked on is the one that I was pushing them to do. And I sent pictures to Jason, is it just, I sent pictures along, and then that was the one that is on the other side of the dam as you're going downhill towards one of the golf.
Is it
Yes.
at the bottom of the hill?
It's the water coming down from the high house on top of the hill, coming straight down and parallel to the path and carving and undercutting it as it goes down.
Yeah, I think there is two different, I think that is
Yeah.
a separate issue from what I'm talking about.
It sounds like the one that they fixed, that Brian was describing, was probably the one that I had
Right.
complained about. But I don't think the erosion at the bottom of the dam is properly discussed or addressed. I don't remember. I remember you saying something about it, Tony, a couple times, but I don't remember an acknowledgement that it was their thing to work on.
What they
Yeah.
had said, we
Where
brought
I
this
was
up
at.
at the meeting, and they had said that we already accepted the dam. This is with the MI people. That's why I think it's real important to figure this out, because my impression from that meeting was that the dam is ours now. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. And so then that Eric was supposed to meet with Hollins to
Right.
talk
And
about strategy.
the last time I mentioned that to Eric when we did our walkthrough with planning and zoning, he had said that he was working with him on that. I don't know how far it's gone though, but I have a feeling that this could, to me, it's a big issue. It's something that we shouldn't be approving or accepting the property until we figure out who's going to be responsible for fixing that, because it's only been a year or 2 years or whatever, and it's eroded quite a bit, and at the rate it's going, that whole hill's going to go away.
Well, I agree with Tony on that. And I know Gene was saying something about it, and if he was involved, it's a pretty big deal.
Well, he said he wasn't involved and he hadn't been involved. And so Eric and Gene were supposed to get together and update each other and come up with a strategy or feedback for us.
I
Just-
think as long as we don't approve it,
Right.
we'll still have an out. Well, and I also would say that, every year we're going to have to approve the TIF money that they want. So, I would think that would be we would have some kind of leverage, to get them to provide the infrastructure that they're being paid for through the $4 million in TIF money.
Well,
So hopefully Eric will have some
Yeah.
more information.
maybe we can make sure that Gene is at the next meeting, Tiffany?
Gene is no.
Gene's-
I'm sorry. Is it
Yes.
just Jesse
Correct.
and
I'm
Eric?
not sure-
Jesse and Eric are at the next meeting.
Right. And I'm not sure exactly what information Jesse has. So when I talk to him Wednesday, I'll add that to the list of things just for him to work on. I don't know if somebody wants to send me an actual email about exactly what they're asking for on that, just at the
Okay.
dam.
Sure, and I can forward a
Yeah,
picture.
if you send it to me that
Picture.
way, I'm meeting with him Wednesday around 10.
Okay,
So anything before that would be great. And if anybody has anything else that they want him to work on for us, because I've got a whole list of things for Jesse, just so they don't fall wayside. Going from one attorney to another right now is just,
yeah.
yeah, we don't want it to lag. So, and Tony, we can also talk to Eric at Planning and Zoning about it too. If there's something that he'll be there. So maybe a few minutes before the meeting or whatever, we can talk to him about it. And then, okay, so let's go. I have something for old business, but let's go to new business. Does anybody else, actually, hang on. A really quick update. The TIF isn't actually transferred to the general fund. It's posted to the TIF fund and paid directly to MI from that same fund. Just an FYI.
Yeah, we were kind of like extrapolating a lot on that explanation, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, I just wanted you guys to know. So next, nobody has any new business. So let's go to old business. Anybody have any old business?
Well, I just wondered if you could, this meeting is taking a little longer than I think we thought, but could you give us a brief update on Paycor? I know you had wanted to go live by this time, but I understand you're not live yet.
We're not going live until the next one, and it's only because we pushed it as far as we possibly could, and all of the profiles and things like that we didn't have them all up and running. Simple as that. So it took longer than we were expecting to be able to. It will be up and running on this one. And let me rephrase that. We could have done it on Wednesday, but it was just pushing it too close to being able to be done. So we usually do payroll on Mondays and Tuesdays, and pushing it to Wednesday, we didn't want anybody's paycheck to not hit until Saturday or Monday. So it was too close. Simple as that. So Paycor is going to be up and running on the next one. Everybody will get their paychecks that way. Leah will be updating everybody and letting them know exactly what they need to do. I know I got my profile. Did everybody get theirs?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Council may
I have
not.
not yet.
Okay, council may not, because you guys are all salary and only paid once a month. So you guys may not, but I know I got mine last week, and I know Brian got his. Most everybody has gotten their profiles and everything to them, their account set up. So I don't know a whole lot about it, because I know it's going to be done on the next payroll. So that's that. No update other than it is functioning. It's up and running, will be up and running. We did go open up a separate account because obviously it had to be set up through another account. We do have access to check the IRS every single time that's paid. Again, they all have way more information than I do, but there were a couple concerns from a couple council members, and all of those concerns that were potential concerns kind of worked themselves out as we continued to get more information, and extremely pleased. So not concerned about, they're not tying into our general fund or anything like that. We have our own separate account for Paycor. Simple as that. Which I think most people already knew that, but it is confirmed that was in fact done. We had to go open that stuff a couple days later. So that's that.
I have
Anyone?
one brief thing. I just submitted the I don't say my, seeing as I ran it by council, our Veterans Day solicitation for stories and pictures to the Minerva Park residents open discussion, and I sent a copy to the Minerva Park official page through Messenger.
Yes.
Which it seems like it'll be posted.
So
I understand Becky had some issue with it possibly, or
so here's a couple things.
is that
we're closed on Veterans Day. So being able to post is going to be, she's not going to be able to do that from Village Facebook page all day on
I'll do it.
Veterans Day.
I'll do it from my own on the Minerva Park residents then.
Okay. And then the other question was, she just had a concern with, the Village does actually post for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and all of that, just a basic post. And I think there was like a sentence in there that said, because we didn't do anything, and she just thought maybe that looked a little negative. Because
we can take that out then.
I think she wanted your approval just to be able to take that line out, because she didn't want to make it look like we didn't care about Memorial Day. And that was one of the concerns, and I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think I had that because of, the whole coronavirus starting. Right. We didn't really do any more public events than that. Right. So yeah, that's I'm fine with that being reworded or whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, as long as you're okay with that. But she didn't want to just take it out and not post it. But I will have her post it. As long as you're cool with that, I'll have it taken out tomorrow and post it.
Absolutely. Go right ahead. I have the link to my Minerva Park email.
Beautiful.
And I will I'll share them throughout the day on Veterans Day, as I'm off that day. So
perfect. And if you get any before that, you can also send them to me, and I can get them put on the Village. I can post them on the Village Facebook page as well.
So a longer Veterans Day and Memorial celebration. Nice.
Yes.
Well,
so
it is true that Memorial Day trumps all the other military recognition holidays, Veterans Day included. So,
Okay.
That's all I've got for everything, guys.
Okay, we're just waiting for the mayor to come back on screen.
I'm here.
Good enough.
Okay.
What are we doing? Sorry, missed that.
Waiting on you.
Okay.
Waiting on you.
Okay. So the only other thing, and you guys already know this, that the contractor that was going to be trimming the rest of the trees and all of that is sick. And now it's raining and
Now
the
the
lakes
lakes are
are
full.
full. So I think we're going to give it a couple days, see what happens, and then make some decisions, because obviously going out there when it's completely full doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that was the whole point of it. That said, we still want to get the plugged up. But I don't want to do that until we see whether or not, we're going to get a couple more dry days to where we could potentially go get that done. So I really do want to get it done, but weather is what weather is. So that's that. Don't want to go too far in detail on that, other than the fact that he is still sick. And then I think if somebody wants to adjourn this and go into or just go right into it, I don't know what you guys want to do.
No, we have to move to adjourn the council meeting.
What are we going into?
And then we were going to go into a work session, discuss
Oh.
maintenance, but now that we're at 8 o'clock, and it's up to you all. If you, I was going to discuss maintenance a little bit, and then there might have been, we already discussed pools, so we got through that. So, I don't know, it's up to you all.
I'm willing to. It needs to be discussed.
We can just call it old business. And what are we going to discuss? Maintenance?
We could call it old business.
It's definitely old business.
Go for
Okay.
it. Works.
I just wanted to, I was trying to get, we were in the finance meeting and we were talking about maintenance and maintenance needs and outsourcing or insourcing. And then it just seemed like there were a lot of numbers we didn't know. And so I did a couple of interviews with Brian Chipper on this. And we don't really have, just being in the small village that we are, we don't really have a set maintenance plan. We do what we have to do, and then the mayor fills in with, oh, if you got time, how about if you do this or do that? So that's kind of maintenance right now. But anyway, there's like 3 different things that are swirling around. I sent you one thing that I thought it was easiest to nail down, and that was what I was wondering. My question was, well, what kind of expenses would we be looking at going forward, given the fact that we don't have some of the maintenance tools that maybe we should have to do it better, faster, or whatever. And then if we do all the maintenance ourselves, what would be looking at possibly in 2021 in terms of budgeting for more expensive maintenance tools. And so that's where I came up with the list that you all were chatting about before I came on. So that's what that is all about. So I can call it up here as well. So if
I was curious about the mowing equipment on there.
yeah, let me just share a screen for a minute. And so what the purpose of this was to have an estimate. It isn't to say that, oh, we definitely shopped and here it is. It's not that. It's saying if we were to, does equipment that Chipper has or that the village has right now, would it be enough to do maintenance for the whole village, including the MI section? Or would we have to upgrade or buy additional, or especially if we ended up hiring another seasonal person? I mean, tools to share or whatever. So I think you can see my screen. So basically, I kind of put down here like a timeline to purchase, maybe for a lot of this would be, so there's time for discussion. But again, this is more for budgetary purposes. So the riding lawnmower that we own now is okay, but it can't do a slope work. And just let me finish this though. One thought and I'll stop. And so one of the things that Brian was talking about was he occasionally brings his own equipment from home, which is a wrong thing that he has to do the slope by like where the dam is. And so the idea is to have a piece of equipment, hopefully that would be able to do straightaways, slopes, and also and have a longer lifespan. So, and in addition, you keep both of the mowers, so you had a second person mowing, you'd be able to get the mowing done. Because while we talked about the mower, I was also, to get to this point, I was asking him how long it takes him to do mowing now. Of course, he can only talk about the heritage area. I'm calling that Old Minerva Park, the heritage area of Minerva Park. And he'll take about 3 days for him. That's a 5-hour, this is ish. So about 15 hours a week during the growing season for grass to do the old section of Minerva Park. And a lot of, and that of course, obviously he has to tow it. He has to move the equipment from place to place because he's doing an island here, a monument area there. So it's not a straight shot, just, you know, mowing a lawn. So anyway, so that takes about 3 days of his 5-hour day work during the growing season for him to do. And so the MI section is about, according to Eric, it's going to be about 5 acres. And of course, that's all not in one spot either. And that'll be mowing along trails as well as slopes. And that may also include twice a year mowing of native areas. That's not green grass. And so anyway, the suggestion was to buy this type of mower. Okay.
Well, they make small tractors that have a variety of mowing decks and arrangements on them that also have power takeoffs, where if you ever need to use, they have small backhoe attachments you can add to them, or a little front loader thing. That might make it more versatile.
Well, possibly. I mean, at the very bottom of this on the wish list is to have at some point having a John Deere tractor. So, you know, if everybody said, oh, let's just get a John Deere tractor with a bunch of attachments instead of getting a commercial grade lawnmower, I mean, that's a decision. But so
a tractor is a tractor can be a commercial grade lawnmower.
Well, of course. And so, you know, with a John Deere tractor, you can also do more in terms of hauling, pushing, shoving, moving.
Yeah.
But again, we're getting a little off track. So just for, I don't know how many council members have an appetite, or whether we want to have a budget for that, or if we could afford to have a budget for a tractor. And besides which, we would, if we had a tractor, we would have to have a place to put the tractor. So I wasn't going there.
Still
because
saying that tractor would be in addition to this other mowing equipment?
No, not necessarily. I don't want to have that level of discussion.
Okay.
I just want to say that if we want to start in March, we don't have a place for a tractor. So, you know, this would be the suggestion. Tony, did you want to comment at this point?
Well,
Pole barn.
I'm not sure what type of mower or why our mower doesn't work on a slope.
Well, he says it's because it's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. Anyway, he says I guess it's rear wheel drive. It must be. When it goes down a slope, he slides.
Well, he shouldn't be going down the slope. He should be going at it sideways.
Well, okay. So you wanna argue? Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop. Yeah. Okay. So let me stop there then. All right.
I would like to mention there are a considerable number of deaths per year from lawnmowers on slopes.
No, that you're very right about that. I had an uncle
very dangerous.
who died that way. So yes, he could do sideways and, yeah.
You could
But if
also
they
use a
spiral around, it depends really upon the angle of the slope. Now, if you're going up and down, just last week, there was a person who was using a, a zero turn mower and the engine's in the back, and they were going up a slope thinking they could do the slope that way. And the thing flipped over and killed them.
We could
So
also
wait
use a push lawnmower, which is what we had our seasonal.
That was
person
last
do.
week.
So we have, so moving, okay, I'm just, lots to think about. So moving on though, we have a very old push mower right now. So, for smaller areas. And so, and I guess, Chipper keeps it alive by tinkering with it. So the request is for either a push or self-propelled. Now, obviously, if you get self-propelled, it's going to be more expensive. But then, you might save wear and tear on the person by doing self-propelled. But anyway, so it's definitely advisable, because I think the mayor can testify that the push mower is pretty bad shape.
A person's life and health is much more important than a couple bucks saved. That he's got one back, but we can have more than one mower.
And we have more than one seasonal person, and then, so the easier to operate some of these things, the better.
Exactly. Money is a tool. Funds are a tool to make life for our village and our people better. So,
Okay.
We could go up and go on a tour of the, Westerville has a tremendous maintenance department.
Yeah, we're not.
Maybe I'll go up there and check it
I'm
out.
very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy. I like to look at big trucks too. I think they're kind of fun to look at. But okay, so trimming in terms of a string trimmer, we bought one weed whacker this year for $200, but this is a string trimmer that is one that Chipper checked out. It's an Echo, and it allows multiple attachments. So it's a good tool, and he's recommending that. So the other thing we have a handheld blower, not very powerful. He's suggesting that it probably would be worthwhile to get a backpack blower to be better use of time, faster to get things done. So he's recommending that. For hauling, the trailer attached to the UTV right now, you know what that looks like. I'm sure everybody knows what that looks like. So that's basically for brush or leaves or things like that. He was recommending a 4x6 trailer to attach to the UTV that's more sturdy, be able to haul logs and things like that. So that's a recommendation. We have a chainsaw, a winch. Okay, here's another one. If we had a winch attached to the UTV, we could get some of those.
Logs.
Tree trunks, logs out of there if we had a proper winch operation. So that's a recommendation. Again, this would assume that you want to have our own maintenance crew doing more of this kind of work. Then in the winter, we talked about this before about attaching a salt spreader to the UTV, and that's a price, an estimate for that. Also attach a plow. He has mentioned this Copland switchblade system to plow, which is a blade that can open up for wider path and narrow for like a path or a sidewalk. So he's suggesting that would be a good solution. He's suggesting that could be a solution instead of needing a snow blower. So Chipper is kind of skeptical about needing a snow blower if he does have a blade system. But one or the other, I mean, if we do anticipate snow, I mean, I think, who knows if we're going to have snow or how much, you never know. But it seems like they're predicting a mild winter again. So I guess, so those are things that we don't have at all now. All we have is a snow shovel right now, basically. So these are kind of like, maybe we shouldn't wait until next year, if we can, if we can find the money to do it this year.
We already have a snow blower or similar budgeted for this year, something along those lines.
Okay. And then I just have general miscellaneous. I wanted to throw that in there. I don't know how much as on average, I would have to ask Kim what, or maybe you know, Mayor, how much is generally on his credit card for.
Well, that's not really going to help you because he buys things for the pool for them. He buys hand sanitizers when he goes. So we would have to go line by. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can obviously be done because there is a credit card and we would just have to itemize each one. But we couldn't just add up how much his credit card is because, like I said, he buys things for the pool. He buys things for me. If I send him, I believe his maybe some of that bathroom stuff was actually on his. So it depends on, you know, what we send him around to go purchase. So that's not going to give you an idea. I know that a ladder is going to be necessary, and I think we have some shovels, but maybe not good, you know, maybe not good ones. I think that's always good to have a couple. I guess here's my question in all of this analysis, and maybe I'm not understanding exactly what we're trying to do, but a majority of these things on here, including has nothing to do with whether we have a maintenance, whether we hire out landscape or keep it in, because I feel like a majority of things are needed regardless.
Yeah, I think that the only thing I would say is that commercial grade with the slope is up for debate. If you're not doing the MI section, if you're having someone, if you're outsourcing the mowing, either partially or entirely, then of course we have a riding lawnmower, and for just a little bits that we do, that would be the main thing that I would say. Maybe you would need the backpack blower if someone else was doing that, because that goes along with the mowing. You know.
Not necessarily. Like we're using it right now for leaves, and they don't always come out and rake the leaves and do all of that. So, I mean, I think it would have been nice for him to have just the other day when he was doing all of the leaf, you know, because cutting grass doesn't really have, I mean, it depends on how much you have this landscaping company do, but I'm assuming, I mean, the blower we're going to need regardless because he was out there using it 2 days ago.
Okay.
In my opinion. So I guess.
Yeah. So what I guess what I tried to say in the beginning, probably not very well, is that we started out by saying, you know, trying to tease out what he does in terms of maintenance and what could be outsourced. And then when we started talking about that, and you say, well, I could do this or I could do that. Then I asked the question, well, if you did do it all, or you and your boat crew, do you have the tools to do it? And that's when we got to this discussion. So I wanted to share it because it's information I collected in my pursuit of trying to do insource, outsource.
We already I actually have this list of things that he needed. In January, February, March, he actually brought a list of all of the things that we don't have. So
Yeah, I remember
not
that.
a surprise.
Yeah, so anyway, I just it came out, and so I wanted to share it because these things may be coming up soon in legislation, or you may already have the budget for them, I don't know. But anyway, it was helpful to me. I felt more enlightened afterwards, so I did this chart. I also have a chart I haven't quite finished yet with, you know, I'll show you where I am on that. But anyway, and then Tony had talked about, you know, yeah, let's have a maintenance department and all that. And so some of the things that came out while we were talking about insourcing and outsourcing, again, these are additional items, but I kind of put separately. And, you know, we don't have to talk about them in detail. These are kind of like, if I was to do if I was to do maintenance the way I would like to do maintenance, I would have these items I miss, or I wish I would have. So that's, there they are.
I have one suggestion, and that would be that a rather major winch be attached to the truck as opposed to the UTV.
Our truck is a two-wheel drive truck.
Yeah, that's the problem. The reason you see on here is on the wish list is a 4x. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, 4x4. But anyway, to get a proper truck, four-wheel drive that has some horsepower that could actually do some of that work. And
But
we don't
my
have that.
philosophy is if we have a John Deere tractor and all of these other things, would we need a 4x4 truck on top of those?
I think the only reason we need a 4x4 truck is if we started snow plowing.
Right.
I'm with Tony on that one.
Yeah, the
Or
only,
any truck, I would suggest a winch on the front of it.
Yeah, I mean, the original truck should have had that to begin with, and it should have been, I mean, we spent $20-some thousand on that truck, and honestly, it's a kind of a lawn ornament because it doesn't do most of the things that we need it to do. So I'm not in disagreement, and the truck's probably not worth, again, more than a lawn ornament because yeah. So that's neither here nor there. So, okay, maybe I'm looking for the other sheet because this doesn't really help me decide whether or not we should insource or outsource landscaping, because a majority of that to me is needed regardless, like a pressure washer, like all of that kind of stuff. I feel like, yeah, we should have a generator. We should be able to not have to borrow somebody's power washer to get graffiti off of certain things. So no, those are all things that having this new development, whether or not we hire out landscaping, I would say 75 to 95% of that list is a maintenance item that we need. There's only a handful of things on there that I don't think is relevant to
I
this.
think what we need to talk about right now is whether we want to outsource the landscaping in the new development. I mean, that's, to me, is critical.
I mean, I feel like if we're going to outsource it to the new development, then we need to outsource all of it.
Well, and that's where I don't want, I guess it's,
I don't want to either, but
I'd like to try to cut the grass in the new development, do it in-house. And I don't think that we need any new equipment, despite what Brian seems to think, except for a weed eater and the blower and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, the weed eater the weed eater is not a commercial. And when you start trying to, and this is my opinion, and we did buy a new weed eater this year. We bought a $199 weed eater. And for the record, it is not a commercial, and you start operating that thing, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking to myself, 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, whatever.
You need a good one.
You're going to need something that's more of a commercial. I just don't think a residential one, you're going to be able to run 2, 3, 4 hours a day, several days in a row. And it's the same thing with the push lawn mower. That push lawn mower, he has done very well at piecing that thing together. We need a commercial push lawn mower. I don't think we need some, $10,000 or whatever, but I think he averaged 700. To me, that was some of the things, more of like something with a Honda motor or something along those lines, something with a decent blade. I don't think, again, we do not need the cream of the crop, but we need something that's a commercial that could run for a few hours at a time. So yeah, I don't think we don't need Home Depot's $199 special, but we also don't need $15.99 either.
Yeah.
Well, just
And
looking,
you get a Toro.
just looking
And
at
that
this,
was it, yeah.
it really feels to me like, and I'll just put this out as my opinion, we can lean towards not hiring someone to cut that grass in Minerva Park in the MI section next year, and we could do it in-house. I do think, and if you scroll down and see the $112,000 price tag, that's pretty huge. If you stop on the first page and just see the 18.7 price tag, I think that's manageable. And if you combine that with the wages of a seasonal or an extra seasonal, because didn't MI say they were paying like $30,000 a year to mow?
Right.
So this comes in with $12,000 under that to go for payroll or what have you.
No, it doesn't. I mean, the $30,000, you'd be comparing that to not only, you'd be comparing that to Chipper's salary and other benefits, and
Well, we already paid Chipper.
also a seasonal person. So,
But we already paid Chipper and the one seasonal. Like those are already on the payroll, and that would be still there with the 30,000 because the 30,000 is just the MI area. That doesn't include what Chipper normally does. And then, you still have, and yes, you would need to hire more people, but some of that then, and it's not necessarily going to come on under in the first year. the first year when you spend $12,000 on a new lawnmower, when you spend $1,000 on this and that, is going to be the expensive year until year 7, and you have to buy them all over again, which will also be the expensive year.
Well,
But,
sorry, go ahead.
so that was my thoughts there.
So this, I think I'm sharing my screen. So there's a spreadsheet here that I started trying to figure out in terms of the landscaping and all that.
And I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it.
All right. Sure.
Did you send, is this where you sent the email that you sent out tonight?
No, this is
Okay.
okay. Okay, sharing screen. Okay, so this is my work in progress. So here we have what he does year round. And then again, this has nothing to do with hiring someone just to do mowing. So, but looking at what he does year round, and then mowing and trimming spring, summer, fall. And so from what he believes is that he spends about 3 days, which is 5-hour days, or 15 hours. He spends about 15 hours a week in the spring on mowing in the heritage part of the village. So he works a 5-day week, and that leaves him that leaves him 2 days. But what he actually does is in the mornings when it's still damp or whatever, he's doing his year-round stuff. Going around emptying trash cans, things like that, taking care of building issues, and then he goes and mows. So, but it takes him three days to do the whole heritage. So I think based on the fact that the MI section is estimated to be about 5 acres total, and we know that we don't know, unfortunately, I'm hoping that maybe Eric can help us out with this because he's got the tool and I don't. But I have mapped out the Heritage Village and the different places all over the place where they have to mow. But they keep in terms of the total acreage that might be, I'm not sure what that is. That would be a wild ass guess on my part as to what the acreage would be. But let's say it's similar because the old village actually has more acres more acreage than the new village does per se. So if you said that we're mowing 5 acres in the Heritage Village and we're mowing 5 acres in as far as we can tell at this point in the MI section, and then you might surmise it takes maybe another 15 hours a week to do that mowing. This is where I'm at and try to puzzle through this. But so do you have 2 mowers then going? You have one guy mowing in the Heritage and one guy mowing in MI. Do you split out just the MI and have that outsourced next year? And then, go from there. We already know that Brian can mow and take care of sometimes it gets pretty hectic in the spring when the grass is growing like every 2 days. You can see where he's gonna get backed up. But but to have 2 maintenance guys working, you'd almost have to have overlapping, if not simultaneous, or working weekends or something to be able to use one piece of equipment to do both sides, especially in the spring. So those are kinds of logistics that have to be worked out.
Well, it's very weather sensitive too. I mean, that's one thing that I've noticed, this past summer. There's times when the grass gets cut that it doesn't need cut, in my opinion. So, and that's just because of the amount of rain that you do or don't get.
Yeah.
So these are all very, I don't know, subjective figures. It really depends on how much rain you get.
You guys know I'm all about reducing mowing.
if we're looking to, you know, keep the grass as nice as we do in the village, and we do keep it very nice, I would say, compared to some places, then yeah, you almost in the spring would need 2 mowers. That's kind of the point, because, you know, if you can get it done in 2 days or 2.5 days, and then the new one's going to be another 2.5 days, where you can just get it done in a week, but you can't because you don't have a week where it doesn't rain. You know, on those, okay, we have Thursday and Friday, it's supposed to be sunny and nice. You need to get both sections done on Thursday and Friday, and not I'll get half of it done today and half of it done, and then now it's raining for, you know, you've missed your window.
Right, but you guys also have to remember that while one person is on a lawnmower, the other one can be doing a different area with a push
Right.
lawnmower. The other person can be doing a weed eater. And not to be crazy, we have always budgeted for seasonal people as well. So, you know, I think part of this that, you know, that we're talking about is we would have an additional person, but we would still have our seasonal person. The other part with our seasonal people, a lot, you know, there were times in which our seasonal person this year wanted to work on the weekends. So that is an option. So if we have certain areas, he wants to go cut the pool, he wants to go do this or that, and weather's good, you can do that. But don't forget, I'm not saying we don't need 2 lawnmowers, but I am saying there are other things that can be done while that person is doing this. So, you know, it probably took him, you know, 5 hours a day, 3 days when he didn't have help. But on the days that he was cutting grass and Paul's doing weed eating and Paul's cutting the other stuff, it wouldn't have taken that long. There was no way it took that long. We can go back and pull how many hours and all that kind of stuff, but it takes time to cut at the pool. There's no doubt about that. You have inside the pool, you have outside the pool. The pool, John does prefer for it to be pristine. I'm going to say that. That was one area that we always wanted to make sure that inside the pool was done and it was done right. That being said, after a short amount of time, it was very difficult to do it because the grass was so dead. And it actually became rough. So the point being is, you know, we do have a good idea of how long it takes. We have all of that, but having another seasonal person that's doing some of this other stuff with a little bit of a better equipment is also going to be ideal. Again, this is a great guideline, but I don't think it answers all of the questions. This is.
No, I didn't say I didn't say.
Exactly.
I didn't say it was done. And, you know, like a lot of things that are outdoors, you know, you can be thrown for a loop. So with weather changes and being stacked up. But the other thing is I would just caution that, you know, if we're going to have good equipment, we want to make sure we have people that know how to use it and take care of it. And if you have a seasonal person working different hours than the supervisor of that person, then that can cause some issues as well. But
and I'm going to opt that we not have this conversation right here, right now, because there's 2 sides to every story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm being generous.
We almost
clearly,
need to leave executive session.
So anyway, I think, I think, you know, if we end up having if we end up with all the maintenance internally, I hope that we would have a, you know, maintenance, just a couple page policy that talks about, or it's part of an actual real life job description, where we say that everyone is responsible for taking care of the tools and making sure they're put away at night. They're not sitting outside rusting. That I'm not saying anybody's doing that right now. I'm just saying that you know, you want to have that there so people know what they're going to be judged on and what their expectations are. So because that's not uncommon. We just had work done at the house here, and the workmen were complaining to each other about how the third workman always leaves the tools out and they're like crap and they rust. So I mean, this is not surprising that this happens. It happens all the time. So but that's just part of an overall, you know, maintenance strategy. But anyway, so that's all I was trying to get at. I just didn't want us to get to the point where, and we probably are going that way, where we're just gonna, you know, launch it and see what happens. And so I just wanted to have a better idea of what that would look like if it didn't go well. And so if things, so So anyway, that's what I was trying to get at. And again, the mayor has said how she's got plenty of other maintenance tasks to do. And it did concern me that it takes a while to do this, just the mowing. And yet there are a lot of other things that we would like, or we want, or have the maintenance person try to do. And, you know, you've got some of the year-round stuff outside is, you know, riding around, cleaning storm sewer grates, reviewing the common, you know, repairing, replacing signs, trash removal. You know, you suggested that maybe he ought to be able to repair the roof. There's a lot of stuff. And so you think about all that, and you think about then the lawn mowing, and it seems like it's the easiest thing to outsource. The most no-brainer thing to be able to have a outsource, at least in part, if not in whole.
So
Just-
Diane, what you're saying then, regardless of who actually does the work, this is becoming a pretty good checklist of the items that need to be done for the village on a maintenance level.
Well, in you know, the other maintenance plans, I've looked at a few maintenance plans from other villages. I don't try to think we're Westerville or something, but yes, and they all have a grid of some kind of their most important things that they want to get done. If nothing else gets done, this gets done, and it when does
We'll prioritize checklists.
Right, and actually, if you have multiple people in your maintenance department, you actually have someone initial that they actually said they did it, you know, when it comes to certain types of maintenance, like preventative maintenance, for example. So we probably don't do a lot of preventative maintenance because we don't have time. We're mostly break fix, I assume. So with just
You know, for me,
one part-time person.
the thing that and you alluded to this earlier here, is coming up with a job description for our maintenance supervisor.
Mhm.
And, you know, to me, that's the next step in coming up with a maintenance department, is having a maintenance supervisor with a description of what his qualifications and expectations are. And that's where I think that's the next thing that I think we need to work on, because, you know, right now it's a part-time job, and I foresee it being a full-time job. You know,
Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with having a thorough checklist of
of what needs to be done.
yeah. You know,
Okay.
regardless of who does it, with the items that we want looked after, kind of
So
prioritized.
Here's
Well, and that's why I was asking about the fire department, whether they're going to do the you know, pumping, or if the $10,000 is for the flushing and pumping out the fire hydrants, because, you know, that's just another 10,000 reasons why we should, you know, hire a full-time maintenance person.
So a couple things on that. The reason that it has been requested that we go through them is in the event that it's not done correctly. So let's just assume our maintenance people go out and they don't do a couple of them the right way. We're responsible to fix it. If they come out and they do it and they don't do it accurately, they're going to be responsible for fixing it. So basically it's to keep the blame off of us in the event that our maintenance person does the job accurately. So just a quick
Who is telling you
FYI.
that?
Our attorneys. I mean, we've just got to be careful, because if they're not maintained correctly and they have an issue, we're going to be the one footing the bill for that. So we want to make sure that they're done correctly. And again, having the right qualifications, Tony, I'm not in disagreement with. So as long as we have a maintenance, it's, you know, I don't know if it's a no-brainer job or not. I mean, I have no idea what types of equipment you need to do it. So, but basically, as you guys know, we had a maintenance person, and then we hired in the second maintenance person, and then we ended up with Hal. So at one point a year ago, a little over a year ago, there were 3 maintenance people until 1 left. And then we basically had Brian. Hal stayed on very little throughout the summer. And then we had our seasonal person. So with COVID, there's really not been a lot of stuff going on. You know, we haven't really done much of anything other than cut the grass. So at this point in time, I mean, I feel like There are things that I would like to see get done. This list is a great starting point, I would think. But for example, I mean, I would like to see all of the mulching beds be done in-house. I mean, I don't feel like we should be writing a check for $2,000 or $3,000 a couple times a year to be doing that kind of stuff. There are lots of $1,000 things on that I'm seeing, just two of them right there. The other thing that our maintenance person typically does, if you don't know, is the hanging of the Christmas. Well, we were planning on having him hang some of the Christmas lights, which I do believe he did part of it last year. I know Steve and Lisa volunteered to do some of it, but I do believe he did some of it last year. And again, we don't have the correct ladder to do some of those things. So there's going to be some stuff that come up here in the next short little bit that we need that done. But to go back to what Tony was saying, we have one maintenance person. There's really not a checklist because there's not a list. I mean, we cut the grass. That's mostly what we're doing right now. If John needed him to do something at the pool, he would go do what John needed him to do. When Chief asks him to go do something, he goes and does that. On a daily basis, the maintenance person typically doesn't know exactly what he's going to do because he gets there and Chief may have something, like I said. I may have something. There could be a dead animal on this street. There could be this, there could be that. So, you know, in theory, cutting the grass is always going to be on the list, but you don't necessarily know when a tree falls on the path that you have to go get a tree off of the path. So again, it's great to have a list of things that you would like to see get done, no doubt about that. But just remember that a maintenance person, especially when you have one person, you basically do things as they come up because you're the only person. So I just want to remind people that, you know, going and taking basketball hoops or putting basketball hoops up and going and closing, you know, parks in the middle of the night and going and doing all of that stuff, that's who does that. It's him. So there's not really a set list of things that can be done because we only have one person.
So are you going to have is it your intention to continue to have the cleaning people after COVID is over?
Yes. At this point in time, yes. Having all of the offices cleaned downstairs in the basement, having the deep cleaning every so often. Again, I think it goes back to some of the things that you guys had said, how you guys wanted better airflow and a better quality inside the building, and having an actual clean building, floors cleaned, all of that kind of stuff has been extremely nice for the employees that are in there, and they are thankful for it. So to answer, yes, the goal is to continue to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really put the, I know that he mentioned about doing decorations and that, but somehow given all these other things that were on there, I couldn't quite put decorations on there.
I'm sure there's a bunch of little things here and there that didn't get on the list.
No, and I guess that's what I'm pointing out. So I guess I go back to the same thing. Having a maintenance team and having a maintenance department is very important to the village because you don't realize all of the things that do get done and the things that are done by him. The majority of the list of things of the wish list and the non-wish list are all things that we should have had a long time ago, and we should have. A lot of that stuff we did have, but they were actually Jim Newsey's, and he took those when he left, which he should have. If we take out the lawn service, I understand that. I mean, again, I don't think it's necessarily needed.
Well, I guess you would know on a day-to-day basis, but it just, again, it seems like if you're looking for him to do more of other types of maintenance, there's so many lawn services out there. It just seems like an ideal thing to carve out. If you're going to carve something out, it's an ideal thing to carve out. That's all.
And most of them don't. I mean, most people, you know, after talking with Eric about a lot of different neighborhoods and a lot of different areas, this is one thing this is typically the thing they don't outsource.
You know, that's so funny you say that, because when there was a small village that I never got a hold of the woman who was the village administrator, because she was always out mowing the grass. Yeah, so she could never come to the phone.
There you go, Mayor.
Yeah.
Hey,
Your free time.
I do mine. My husband does it every once in a while. I'm not going to say never, but I will likely never hire somebody to cut mine. I enjoy doing it. So it's my hour of not having a phone on my hip. It's not funny. It's true.
It's better with noise canceling headphones.
I enjoy it's annoying. It's not my kids going, mom, mom, mom. So trust me, the lawnmower's fine. So, but anyways, I mean, I think here's what I guess you guys need to make a decision, because I mean, at this point, I have hounded you guys for 10 months at this point. I don't want to, clearly at some point we have put the snow blower or whatever on there on one of the appropriations or whatever we did. I don't even know, but I am 99% positive it's on there. Now, doesn't have to be a snow blower. We have the money set aside, whether we do it as a snow blower, whether we do it as a plow or whatever. I don't know if you guys have a recommendation or thoughts as to what you guys would like to see. But it's very difficult, like you guys know. I know you're interested in seeing the budget, but it would be, you know, I would prefer to have some of the things on the budget before we start sending out half-done budgets. And then as soon as it gets done, everybody looks at it and goes, oh my God, that's not what we were thinking. I know how this works. So you see a fresh early budget and then you see the ending and it looks a lot different. So
is there a pole barn or something like that with all this equipment to budget it in here to store it in?
Well, the pole barn has, whatever it is, the storage or whatever, has to happen before you buy big equipment. I mean,
Right.
there's room for, if temporarily for the year with the EMS out, there'll be room if the second lawnmower is in the works, there'd be room for the lawnmowers in the garage until it's no longer a garage. So there's time to be thinking about that, or what is needed, or if it's needed and how big or whatever. So we don't have to, you know, yes, but going out and buying a tractor before you have a place to store it is not a good idea. But I don't think anybody was going to do that on council. But I don't know.
I just didn't see that. I didn't think so either, but I didn't see it listed in the
Yeah,
budget.
it was, if you scroll down on the one that I did send you, there's a couple different places where it says, maybe we need more storage, maybe we need.
Yeah, okay.
It's on there.
And I'm just going to be honest. I think even with the new building, if we end up doing that, it's going to probably have to go down to the pool. So, I mean, that's my first thought. I don't know that you're going to get that over at the community building if you add an addition and all that. We're getting way off topic there, but
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
as far as that goes, I'm in agreement that it happens there, but it would be nice to get a little bit of a census. And I know that we can continue to run numbers and we can continue to do all of these different cost analysis.
No,
And here's what
I
we
think-
know, and they're great. Don't get me wrong. They're great. But is there, for all we know, there could be council people that have no interest in a maintenance department. And at that point, we probably need to move forward. There also may be 5 council members that have no interest in hiring it out. It would be nice to go through, get a really quick census of what the 6 people are thinking, so we can determine where our efforts are best spent. If everybody is on board with hiring it out or not hiring it out, I think our efforts need to be focused on where do we get the best deals at? What do we need to do? How do we push that forward? Instead of continually doing, you know, going back and forth. But maybe I'm wrong. I would just like to hear what all 6 have to say.
So just one.
That's great. I'll go first.
Okay.
So I am leaning towards, after seeing some of this and thinking about how much MI was paying a year, to just do, let's say basic lawn care in their section. I would definitely lead towards expanding, maybe not a full maintenance department at first, but for next year, not hiring out lawn mowing and yard services in the new, and instead putting that money towards hiring at least another seasonal, if not another person, and perhaps even buying a second riding lawnmower to make sure those things can get done. Basically everything on that first page of the spreadsheet we saw, I would be okay with that, and authorizing us to hire another 20-hour-a-week person or seasonal help, and start with just doing maintenance department to me is really big. We can start with lawn care / maintenance, because then we have 2 of them. We can say, hey, can you guys 2 go out and do this instead of weed whacking today? And then build on it for the following year if we want to really think about, okay, do we want to get some big equipment that we can do big projects? but I would definitely say don't outsource grass cutting. Buy the stuff, hire the person, and I will stop and listen now.
I agree with Brian or with Mark. I think we start off with cutting the grass, see what that entails, how much labor, and build from there.
Joe?
Well, I agree. A gradual entering into this would be a good way to do it. We can benefit from experience as we go along.
Mark the day down on the calendar. I agree with Tony.
It was Mark.
You know, I personally remember witnessing at least 2 or 3 of these days.
And I would say, from an equipment standpoint, the mayor said that we already had budgeted money for a snow blower or some kind of snow removal. And, right now that's, we don't need to worry about a lawnmower and a weed whacker this year. And we already have the money for the snow blower or whatever kind of snow removal device we want to get. So I think we're good, to get through the end of the year. It's just next year's budget and how much how many employees and that stuff we're going to have to guess at to come up with a budget for the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but we've only got a couple weeks. We're meeting again with the finance committee at the last Tuesday of the month because, we've got to get this budget in and read 3 times and 30-day wait. So we don't have a lot of time left to plug in numbers for next year. That doesn't mean we can't appropriate on the fly like we've been doing a little bit, but I think it would be helpful for Kim to have a say, Kim Pulley, as to whether we're off track with what we should be budgeting in terms of just the balance of the money and all that sort of thing. So it would be good for her to have an idea of what we're thinking.
That's exactly why you hit it on the head, because I would like to be able to send her an email tomorrow that basically says, okay, if this is the way we want to go, what does this look like? And then make sure that that's the way it's set up for you guys to see in the finance committee meeting. I don't want to give this to her the day before or after we've already budgeted. Like, I feel like we needed a plan to give to her before our next meeting, in one way or another. So maybe I'm stepping overhead. Some people say.
I think that you're right.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask a couple.
That since you're the one who went and did all this work, that you are of the opinion we should be having a maintenance mowing department, or was this all like, this is how expensive it is, do we really want to do it? Because I'm still not quite sure of which side of and maybe it's just because I haven't picked up on it. Like, are you for creating this maintenance department, or at least yard department?
Who are you asking? Are you asking me?
Yep, I'm asking.
I didn't hear who you were asking that question.
Oh, sorry.
That was me. Oh.
Yep, you.
The only key to here, I could see that this first part, at least with the grass work, I think that we could do it if we had that sloping lawnmower. I think it's too dangerous not to have one. So, and I believe that we have continued to buy things on the cheap, and I wish that was a truck, and we that little trailer on the. We buy the things that we just think about we need tomorrow. So we need this thing to do A tomorrow, but then next year we need it to do A, B, and C. And can't we possibly, if we're going to buy things, think ahead as to quality and durability and utility for future projects? I hope we do that. So, and just don't keep buying on the cheap. So,
I wouldn't say a lawnmower.
I'm glad to engage in those discussions.
And I would also like to point out that the UTV that this group approved was also a really good option for what we need right now. That thing gets a really good amount of use. I've seen him do quite a bit of stuff with that. It is There is absolutely, I mean, again, we can add a plow to it. We can add a salter to it. So in my opinion, you guys did a great job allowing us to do that and not making us get a $7,000 golf cart that does no good for us. So I feel like you guys have started doing some of that already. So, I mean, I think that a lot of that was in the past. I know we didn't do the truck. I know we didn't do the trailer. We didn't do that stuff, but other than doing an inexpensive weed eater, but you guys got to understand that I've been asking since January, February, I'm not going to go buy a $600 weed eater if we're going to outsource it. So we needed one. We didn't have a decision made. So clearly I wasn't going to do that. We bought something that will last a little while. So other than that, I'm in total agreement. That said, we also didn't need a $25,000 UTV. So I think that we can still be fiscally responsible and get something good. It's kind of like the swimming pool that you guys determined earlier. It's still an amazing pool. We didn't have to have all the thrills.
Yeah. The only other thing that I think is a big hole is I would like to know what the intention is for hiring next year. I'd like to see it in just a little Excel spreadsheet as to, who we're hiring, salary range, estimated hours, and whatever else. I'd like to see that cost. Is to you've kicked around a person and then a season. You've kicked around some things. I just like to see it on an Excel spreadsheet as what your intentions are. And
at this
salary
point,
ranges
if you guys,
and
I think we need to have 2 part-times, and I think you still need to have your seasonal. Now, whether or not we still have Hal that does the lakes, that remains to be seen, whether or not we need that 4th person. And honestly, I don't even know what that's a different topic. So I would like to see 2 of the part-time 20
While
hours.
you brought it up, is there a crew coming to get some of the logs out?
Oh,
still?
Molly, you're off topic.
I didn't
just
bring
really
it up.
I think we're almost getting somewhere
It's a
here.
follow-up question. It's a follow-up question.
Okay, hold that
mentioned
question.
that. We already hit that topic too, but I'll repeat it as soon as we're done. But what I can
So
have.
2 part-time, you mean 20, or do you mean 29, or do you mean close to 30, or?
An average of 20, because again, if we hire a part-time person in the winter months, Brian hasn't been working as many hours, but in the summer months, yes, he can hit. We usually try to keep him under 28. So there are going to be January, February, November, December where he's not hitting that many. So, or should not be hitting that many. So, but in the summer months, it's going to be higher.
Okay, so your budget, whatever Kim budget, whatever that is that 30
Correct.
hours for the purposes of budgeting, or is that 26.5 hours or whatever that
I'll
is?
find out exactly how she's going to budget it, and she can tell us that. But my goal is to have 2 part-time, and then also our seasonal person, and I'm going to have her run our seasonal person between maybe March 15th and September 1st.
Okay,
Something around that.
okay.
That way we kind of have a goal for getting somebody trained, the other reason that I felt that this was really important to do is, as you guys are fully aware, we can't spray as a village unless he becomes certified. And that's going to be one of the first questions I'm going to ask him tomorrow, if he would like to do the certification to do that, to be able to spray chemicals. In the event he does not want to, which is totally fine. The next person that we hire, maybe that person will already be certified, or maybe we can get that person to go get his certification to be able to spray.
Okay, so that's spraying, and we know we want to limit that as much as we possibly can.
You do.
You know,
I'm kidding.
me and some other people in the park some other nature nuts in the park want to limit the spraying, but
Yes.
but the oh gosh, what was I? Seasonal parts.
And basically on that, if we end up doing one of like your bio, that bio company or whatever, I mean, again, if there's something that we still have to outsource for another year, we'll do that. But it's something that if we're going to do this in-house, I feel like that's one of the things that we need to try to take in-house.
Right. Again, it's sometimes it's baby steps, but and again, it's outdoor work, so it's hard. Sometimes it's crazy, and sometimes you're waiting. But
Right.
Okay. And in terms of the other things, you mentioned the flower beds. And again, the problem with bringing it in is that this is all happening at the same time. So the time which you're spending, the grass is growing like crazy, is the same time you're trying to do the mulching landscaping a lot of times. So just to keep that in mind, in terms of bringing that in. And I assume you're going to keep aqueduct.
And that's one of the other estimates I'm waiting for that will be taking over the additional 4 ponds that are over there.
Okay.
I am working on getting a quote from them to add those in for your guys' review. So that is, again, that's one of the budgeting things that I didn't want to send over this budget that is nowhere near ready to be sent out yet. So I have a couple things that I'm really trying to get for her to be able to send that. And it's not going to be the end. Again, I know that there's so many updates that we still need to put on in there that I've been waiting and working on trying to get some quotes, adding in that new section, just, you know, things that we're working on that we know is going to happen.
And we'll still have in terms of budgeting, we'll still have to have a tree service in there because we don't have the
Yes.
equipment to do all that.
Yeah.
Well,
Again,
wouldn't that
we
be
could-
nice if we could have tree work in the house? That'd be
Yeah.
impossible.
It would
To
be
be
more than,
completely
$15 an hour, I'll tell you that.
Well, and to be completely honest, that's a budget that I do want to see if we can increase a little bit. So,
I'm all for that. I think, yeah.
so I mean, that's, again, there's some things that I want to talk to Kim about before we send this out. But this helps. I will be able to get her quite a bit of this, so she has time to work on it this week. And that was my main thing, is to get everybody's census on what they wanted to do.
Well, the only other thing I would suggest, take it or leave it, is that because this is the first time, if you're really going to bring this in-house, if we all just, you know, decide that, I would really appreciate seeing something in the budget for emergency maintenance help, or I don't know, something that happens that is unforetold, where we really have to get something done and somehow it's coinciding with a bunch of other things, and just an emergency fund of some kind for the first year.
Just
where
like
you're
if
trying
we
to do
had
it
to
all by
hire
yourself.
out something.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
ended up
Thank you.
needing to hire out in an emergency.
Yes.
Okay.
A
think
prudent,
fair.
a prudent reserve.
I think it's totally fair. Yeah, we could get to June and have 2 people out with COVID and be in trouble. We don't know what June's going to hold. So I think if we had a crystal ball, we could figure this out, but we don't. So mine's in the shop.
all right.
All right.
Anybody? Okay,
Move to
so
Thanks
adjourn.
everyone for putting up with that conversation. Appreciate it.
I do too. Old business. Does anybody have any more old business? Because that was the longest old business I've ever
That's
seen in my life.
all the old
I-
business we're doing.
I just have
Old-
2 questions.
Go
Nope.
ahead.
Is there somebody still scheduled to come out and do this,
Okay.
removing
Go
some of
back
the
and, go
logs
back
in
and
the
listen to
lake?
the meeting, because she already gave us that update 2 hours ago, Joe.
I
Well,
did.
you-
They've been out sick and the lakes have all risen. Is that a word? The lakes have all, yeah, there's water in the lake now. So at this point, I'm hopeful that it's going to go back down. That's my quick answer. We've told them that we want it done, but until we see what the weather's going to do, we really don't have much of an answer. I mean, we've approved them to do it. We've approved 1 day in the North Lake, 1 day in the South Lake over by the dam. But if weather doesn't cooperate, it's going to get pushed to next year.
Yeah, and the leaf pickup, did they do any of that this weekend?
I do not believe he was out this weekend.
I talked to him and he was planning on coming out today, but the weather did not cooperate. So
I
he'll
know,
probably be out on Wednesday when it stops raining.
it was nice on the weekend,
I
but
know it was. It was gorgeous.
the leaves are all wet now.
So it looks like tomorrow is going to start drying up. So I would assume, like he said, Wednesday, Thursday looks good again. So we'll see. He doesn't come out on any specific day, just for people to know. We did actually have several phone calls today at the community building. He comes out depending on how many piles of leaves that are out. So if he came around this weekend and didn't feel like there was enough to do, his whole thought was they really had just started falling, and he figured everybody would be out Saturday and Sunday raking them to the street. So that was the whole plan of why he was waiting
He
until
planned to come out
There's
today.
piles everywhere over here.
Yeah. No, yeah, he had told me the same thing. It would probably be Monday. So, so yeah, that's that. So we will, I will be getting with Jesse on Wednesday. If anybody has any questions that they want me to ask Jesse, please shoot me an email, by 10 o'clock in the morning. And I will be asking him one more time about the hydrants. If there's a certified person that must do it, an actual fire chief, is it a maintenance department can do it? And then I already know what he told me the pros and cons were. Obviously, if there was an issue, Columbus would be responsible. So again, that's something that we will have to weigh when we decide. But I'll ask him. And I'm
Move
done.
to adjourn.
Move to adjourn
one
second.
last question. I
Second.
know we went over this, but how many hydrants do we have in the village?
122.
Okay, I'm done.
That's a
Bye,
lot.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Aye.